I am Laurie Buchwald. I am a women's health nurse practitioner and also a family nurse practitioner. I work for Virginia Women's Health, which is a OBGYN practice associated with LewisGale Montgomery here in Blacksburg. I grew up as a Navy brat. That's a proud name that we call all children of military families. So I moved around a lot growing up. We lived in California and France and England and various parts of Virginia. Growing up, Navy was a wonderful experience. I think initially it was just an idea I hit on when I was a little girl, and I think at that point women tended to be nurses or secretaries or teachers. I wanted to be a firefighter. I wanted to work for fisheries and wildlife. I didn't come back to healthcare until I was in my mid-20s after exploring some other things. I attended a school in Vermont, and it was a fisheries wildlife program. We would get up every morning at 5 a.m. and work in the woodlot and feed all the animals, and if you had to study agriculture, you were out in the field applying it. If you were in the woodlot, you were cutting down the trees. It was that helped me to get my job with the Forest Service for fighting fires. So it was an incredible experience. I think I'm a very lucky person in life that I have many interests. I've always said that if you can't do your very first love, how fortunate it is to be able to have another one that falls right along with it. So when I realized that working for the Forest Service, working wildlife was probably not going to be able to keep me full-time employed back in the 80s, I knew that I still loved healthcare. I love teaching, I love helping people feel good and be the best they can be, optimize their wellness. And then I realized that you could apply your love for healthcare, for taking care of people, and still have your outside joys. I was a Girl Scout, so I achieved the highest level of Girl Scouts equivalent to Eagle Scout and Boy Scouts. So did a lot of camping. In fact, when I had my child, I had him backpacking on the Appalachian Trail at 6 months of age. I was a single mom, raising my child by myself, working full-time, going to school, so I didn't do a whole lot of nature stuff then. So you do what you can with the time that you have. I tell my patients all the time when they talk about trying to raise their children by themselves and go to school, and I think that helps too. I mean, you know, for 4 years I lived on no sleep while I worked full-time night shift in the GYN ER and attended graduate school raising my kid. But you know, you can do it. You have a vision, you have a dream, you just gotta push yourself and do it. And I think he's really proud of me for doing that. I have lived in various parts of Virginia, working in various parts of OBGYN. I've worked labor and delivery, I've worked private practice, I've worked inner city healthcare. My jobs in the hospital before I became a nurse practitioner were labor and delivery, emergency room, what we called emergency room back then. So it was all the high adrenaline stuff. You know, I wanted to stay in that excitement mode. The busier we were, the crazier we were, the happier I was. I do many things that aren't so calm. You know, I ride a motorcycle. I'm also very civically engaged. I don't have hardly a free moment. I volunteer a lot in the community. I've ran for and been elected to political office. I run fundraisers. I fell in love with riding motorcycles when I fell in love with this guy. And when that relationship ended, I was not done with the bike. And I almost immediately took the motorcycle safety class and had my own license. Have a great group of friends that I ride with, and I ride solo as well. Every year I take a solo trip by myself and ride for 1,500 miles exploring a new locality, new area. Pretty fun. It is such a wonderful thing to go out on the road by yourself. I love to travel with friends. I am very, very social. I have a million friends and I'm grateful for them. But there's something different about going out by yourself. It forces you to step outside your comfort zone. You walk into a restaurant, you sit down by yourself. I always talk to the servers and the bartenders. I find out their names, they find out mine. You're able to make the decision about where you want to go, what time you're going to leave. If this morning you're going to sleep in, tomorrow you're going to get up early. Today I'm not going to stop for lunch, tomorrow I am. This is just an amazing thing to be on your own and to make those decisions. And then also to problem solve. So I'm out in the middle of nowhere in Tennessee, and I start having an electrical problem on my bike. You know, how am I going to solve that problem? You just push down fear and go. And it's kind of how I am with my job as well, you know. And that is an interesting correlation, actually. I think we all need to know where our strengths are and where we need help. And to me, I think that's one of the strengths of a nurse practitioner working with a physician colleague. I know where my scope of practice ends and theirs begins. I know where my strengths are, and I need to ask for help. And what's wonderful with many of the physicians I've worked with through the years, they do the same. They come to me and say, this is your strength. I am an amateur photographer and blogger. So I started a blog about 5 years ago to be able to share my photography and my motorcycle travels with friends. And through that, I've met friends from all over the world. I got to go to New York City and meet up with a bunch of photographers last year. I'm going to New Zealand to meet up with other bloggers. So the amateur photographer, and I am an amateur, I'm, you know, no doubt about it, has allowed me to meet so many people, and I just love the creativity that comes along with it. It is looking at things creatively with healthcare when somebody's got a problem. You know, if I ask a bunch of questions and I am just not hearing it, we have to start expanding that scope. What else could this be? So it does require that. I like to tell my patients I'm a detective. You know, I don't know everything by any stretch, and I don't have all the answers, but I am a detective, and I will figure it out, even if it's sending to somebody else who can, you know, figure it out for me. Living in the New River Valley, you are living in an area of just incredible natural beauty and resources for canoeing, for hiking, for bicycling, for any outdoor activity that you want. But you're also only 3.5 hours away from Knoxville and Richmond and Asheville, so you can go get that city fix, which I like. I think the New River Valley offers that opportunity to have the best of both worlds. And I'm also going to tell you, as one who's very civically engaged, it's an area you can get involved in. You can pick a group, an organization, get involved, and make a huge positive difference in your community. I had a woman that came in yesterday, and she was having terrible bleeding. She'd been bleeding for much longer than she should have, and she was, of course, thinking that something dreadful was going on. So I was able to reassure her that she was going to be fine and we were going to fix this, but still took her concern seriously. And that's a big part of it. That's so reassuring to women to know that they're going to be okay. One of the things that's concerning, that's always challenging, is the woman who's been seen by a lot of different providers, and she's been had a condition for 5 years, and she comes in and I'm like, we're going to fix this. And we do. And that's a thrill. Those are things that are not the same as putting out a fire or riding a motorcycle, but they're just as thrilling because you're making such a huge difference in somebody's quality of life. And I talk a lot about that. This is not life-threatening. This is quality of life-threatening.